Hello, and welcome to the Street Aesthete channel. This is the show where we explore street view coverage of noteworthy locations, looking out for beautiful architecture and stunning scenery, while I amuse myself by remarking on what we see. And in today's episode, we are going to be visiting the most populous city in the US state of South Carolina. It is Charleston. As you can see, Charleston has quite a unique geography, being out on this peninsula here at the mouth of three different rivers, the Ashley, the Cooper and the Wando. I don't really know very much about the place other than that there's a famous 1920s dance named after it. I think it's from the 20s, and that it has some very beautiful antebellum architecture. Antebellum basically referring to before the war, specifically the American Civil War. And the areas that we're particularly interested in are the French Quarter down here and somewhere called the Battery Quarter or something like that, which I don't actually see on the map, but perhaps we'll come across it. It's probably down here by the waterfront. In any case, I think we'll start on the outskirts. We're going to start on King Street, just kind of outside of the centre here, and make our way south as we head in. And we have here some lovely evening coverage. As we can see, the sun is to the west, and it is November of 2024, so we are very much in the midst of autumn, and yet, at such a southern latitude as this, we've still got what looks to be a lovely warm climate, with the palm trees thriving. Now, at first glance, this might appear to be a fairly typical American street scene, although when we start to examine it a bit more closely, we'll see that the roads aren't terribly wide here, and that quite a lot of the architecture is considerably older than you might see elsewhere. These buildings here, which I think in America are known as railroad buildings, very much remind me of Dutch architecture. We've got the brick and the kind of white highlights, although actually, that said, I have a feeling that this building might be quite a bit newer than the late 19th century, early 20th century that it is imitating. But if it's not a newer building, they've done a really fantastic job of its upkeep, because it looks very clean, fresh and new. Now here is something that must be quite a bit older. Looks as though it may be undergoing some maintenance and repair here, but we've got some genuine old slatted wood architecture here, alongside something much more 1930s. We've got this lovely arched design, Art Deco, alongside the little nod to the classical with these neoclassical column facade parts here, which are of course not proper columns, but just decorations. Lots of great architecture here, lots of variety too. I mean, this could be right out of London. No question. The red brick, the kind of stylized gable top here, the bits of white stucco for extra neoclassical decoration. Really lovely. Interesting, definitely something new, but somehow not out of keeping with the rest of the street. And isn't that just lovely, the way it kind of shines in the sunlight there. Very beautiful city so far, and I think we haven't even yet started to penetrate into the real historic core of it. So I'm excited to see what that looks like. And we have in evidence our first American flag. If only more American cities could look like this. It's the human scale, I think, that's most appealing about it. The way that we never have anything that's more than, this I think is perhaps the tallest building we've seen thus far. Though of course there is something else a bit higher going on there, but we've got 4 stories here, and it's just about sort of legible from street level. You can look up and see the top of it, and indeed it is helped by having this triangular piece on top, which kind of helps you to encompass it within your eye. Lovely colours here, lovely kind of pastel green and yellow. Looks like a hotel. Very nice. And now this church, which is really quite fabulous. I like these kind of crenellated parts on top here. Very nice indeed. And a handsome spire. Little bit of a park here, with another spire visible over in that direction. And here was that building, that very tall one that we noted from further back. Quite a formidable structure. Again, we see this arched window motif with the lovely fixtures on top. We are presented with something of a blank facade here, but at least it's sort of above eye level from the street. You're presented with this as a facade, and I suppose it's only a pity that it is so close to this spire, which really does lead your eye upwards, and so you will be prone to see this. But anyway, now we start to get into a much narrower street, which suggests to us that we are really getting into a historic part of the city of Charleston. And indeed, 1891, this building, although I believe that we may see buildings still standing in Charleston from as early as the 17th century. Lots of variety here. Both in terms of the colour palette, but also in terms of the height of the buildings here. Somewhat of an uninviting street here. I wonder why these windows are filled in. It's the sort of thing that almost invites loitering. And this looks like it is in need of a little bit of repair work perhaps, but I notice now that we're in some older coverage. This is over 10 years earlier than the coverage we started out in, so it may well be that the place has changed in the meantime and some more upkeep has been undertaken. A very beautiful set of buildings indeed. I think particularly I like these green classical features around the windows. This somewhat letting the side down. Glancing again at the map, I wonder if we should be heading more into the east. Yeah, I think we'll come to where the road bends. And interestingly now we can see that the pavement of the road has turned from concrete to brick. And that is a very handsome facade, isn't it? We've got these almost gothic church shaped windows here, and again the kind of the castellated top, reminiscent of the church that we saw a little bit further back. Again we see on the side of the street here this rather blank facade. It's a shame that the kind of the shop front doesn't wrap around. But we're nitpicking here because in terms of the architecture on display, there is a lot to look at, a lot to enjoy. Even this much newer offering, very much in keeping with the rest of the street. I would say this could even have been built this side of the millennium. But it has managed to retain something of the Art Deco shape of the windows there that we've seen on other older buildings in the city. I'm thinking about what kind of European city this reminds me of, but on the whole I think it really is kind of uniquely American. You might see something a little bit like this in the Netherlands perhaps, or maybe in a UK city, although of course the palm trees are really throwing us off, but no, this is all its own. This is very much an American place. Yes, so I think at the next block we are going to make a left turn at this intersection here and head into the French Quarter. But yeah, here we have an example of another very old building. At least I would assume it is from the wooden facade here. And then perhaps this is a slightly later addition. Yes, my estimation would be this could be something like late 17th century at the earliest, probably 18th century, and then this particular bit of facade here with the false columns might be a 19th century edition. Ooh, a very nice bell tower there without the bell. Alright, let's proceed. Was it a mistake to come down this street? It may well have been. Yes. Well, that is the thing about the US. It is a very car-centric country, and even though there are cars lining all of the streets, we also have multi-storey car parks for yet more cars. Perhaps one more block to the east, and then we can start heading south towards the waterfront. And here, this rather out of place looking, very European looking building here with the red tiled roofs. The powder magazine. Established 1713. Are these really the original cinder blocks from the 18th century, I wonder? Alright, now we seem to be heading in something of the right direction. Very sandy coloured. And again with the Art Deco window design. Let's see if we've got any more dates that we can see this. Yeah, a little bit more up close and personal, but without the scaffold. Well, the scaffold is over there now. And here we can see this lovely kind of flossy foliage on the trees, which is very reminiscent of the American South. And the kind of exposed concrete here. Is this concrete or is this... Probably not, because this looks like a historic building. So what material is this? But I was going to say, it rather reminds me of what we might see in Portugal or even in Tallinn, in Estonia. Which were interesting to me as cities in that there were a lot of architectural similarities between them in spite of being at completely polar opposite ends of Europe. Yeah, what a fabulous building here. Another church. It's very interesting to see this very typically Gothic style of church, but painted pink. You know, it's a very interesting mixture of styles with the palm tree outside. Somewhat disorientating, and again, uniquely American, I think. And we seem to have got myself a bit turned around, so we'll just jump over here. Get back on track for the historic core of the city. And I think always heading south is going to be the way to go as we head towards the water. And we've kind of got into more of a residential sort of area, I suppose, and where do we want to be exactly? Maybe more like over here? Very handsome indeed. Reminding me of Georgian architecture that you might see in London, although the shutters speak to a warmer, more southerly clime. Coming out onto more of a main street here, and yeah, I think this is very much where we want to be. Really quite a stunning set of buildings. So we're going to pause here for the moment, and I'll return to Charleston, South Carolina in the next episode of this show. Thanks for watching to the end of the video. If you've enjoyed the music that you hear in this video, then take a look at my first channel, which is where I upload all of my original music. And stay tuned for more street view exploration videos of noteworthy locations.